Call to order the City Council meeting for Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. If you do a roll call, please, Chrissy.
Councilmember Cummings.
Here.
Mayor Deschler.
Here.
Councilmember Eidbo.
Here.
Councilmember Kamish is absent. Councilmember Kaiser. Here. Councilmember Onessa Rosen.
Here.
And Councilmember Budashevsky.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on tonight's agenda is to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
So moved, okay. John, you want to second it?
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please vote in favor of the agenda. All in favor of the agenda. I just saw all these chocolates. I wondered who was so nice to me.
Distracted.
I'm distracted. Is it chocolate or a meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. First up is appearances, and so we have our police chief, Brian Hubbard, here to introduce Officer Robles and K9 Yeti.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have a introduction, a reintroduction, and a couple of awards to share with you tonight. Tonight, I'm excited to reintroduce you to Officer Andrew Robles and officially introduce you to one of Crystal's newest officers, K9 Yeti. Yeti is a 2-year-old German Shepherd Belgian Malinois mix and came to us from Slovakia late last winter. After a few months of Andrew working with Yeti on bonding and basic obedience work, they began their 3-month training in March. The initial K9 training and certification work is one of the most intense and physical of all police trainings, and the team did very well in their school. Crystal Canines are dual-trained dogs, and Yeti is trained and certified in general patrol work, which includes tracking and apprehension, as well as narcotics detection. Yeti worked his first patrol shift on May 31st, becoming Crystal's 4th K9, joining K9 Ace and Officer Callan, and following the retirements of K9s Rocco and Leo. Officer Robles has been with the Crystal Police Department for over 11 years and has had a career-long goal of being a K9 handler. He served as a patrol officer, traffic officer, and as a lead explorer advisor, and has assisted with many K9 trainings over the course of his years. Andrew well understands and is excited about the amount of constant work and dedication that's required for K9 teams to be successful over their time of working together. As you all know, the K9 lives with their handler 24/7, so there's the continual responsibility of animal care and well-being, along with the stringent requirements for ongoing training on a nearly daily basis. While being a K9 handler is a highly sought after and coveted spot in any police department, it requires a very significant commitment of the handler. I'm appreciative of Andrew's willingness to make this personal commitment and the sacrifices he and his family will make for our community in the next 6 to 8 years. While having only been working as a team for a couple months, Officer Robles and Yeti have had some early wins. In one instance, officers were looking for a homicide suspect that had run from officers, and Yeti conducted an article search, finding some clothing that confirmed the path the suspect had run prior to getting into an Uber. In another incident, the team located a number of items that had been dropped by the suspect of a burglary, which allowed officers to locate other video footage of the suspect before and after the burglary. These specific cases are in addition to a number of narcotics finds for Yeti already, including meth, cocaine, and fentanyl. And according to Andrew, we are just getting started. Please join me in congratulating Officer Robles on becoming our newest K9 handler and in welcoming K9 Yeti to the Crystal Police Department.
Hey, buddy. He's a sweetheart. Oh, wow. Yeah. Must be me, right?
There's a lot going on.
Oh, and I smell mailman.
Thanks, Andrew. Mayor and Council, as you know, Crystal police officers do outstanding work every day to serve, protect, and assist those in the community who live, work, and spend time here. Most of their work goes largely unrecognized, and we all understand that it's part of this job. However, there are times when the actions of officers far surpass our normal motto of service with compassion, integrity, and professionalism. As a part of the police department's recognition program, we feel there are times that accomplishments should be recognized in front of the city council and community, which is what I'm sharing with you tonight. I'm honored to recognize two of our team members with Chiefs commendations. The Crystal Police Department Chiefs Award of Commendation is presented to an individual who has gone above and beyond to assist the department or the community. This award is presented at the sole discretion of the Chief of Police for the department. First, I'd like to invite up Investigator Tim Tourville. In May of 2023, the Crystal Police Department was called to assist the FBI with the case of the Ruby Red Slippers. The FBI requested that investigators from the Crystal Police Department look into a case of theft and stolen property for a suspect in Crystal so that they could help generate leverage for the case of the Ruby Slippers. Investigator Tourville didn't hesitate to help out and began down the long journey for this case. Over the course of several months, the FBI would continuously ask him to do one more thing, check one more lead, or interview one more person, and the list seemed never-ending. Despite all of their requests and tasks, Investigator Tourville never complained and would simply say that he was just doing his job. Investigator Tourville not only paid attention to the needs of the FBI, but also went above and beyond to support the suspect's wife in this case. She was clearly, as the investigation shown, a victim that had gotten lost in the grand scope of the case, with the spotlight being on the Ruby Slippers. Investigator Tourville never lost sight of a genuine victim that every other agency seemed to throw to the wayside. Despite the suspect passing away prior to a conviction, Investigator Tourville was able to navigate all of the outside agencies and bureaucracy to get his case charged, thus providing a sense of closure to the victim. Investigator Tourville is being recognized with this award of commendation for his unwavering dedication and tireless effort during this investigation. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hold on. So were those slippers actually in Crystal?
They were buried in a backyard.
Yeah, get out of here, really. Maybe I wonder if that's where the crystal ball is, too, somewhere.
And what did they sell for?
We can't.
Do you recall?
I do not recall.
It's a couple $1 million.
Millions of dollars, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Next, I'd like to invite up Deputy Chief Pete Underthan. On June 14th, 2025, a politically motivated assassination occurred against the Minnesota Speaker of the House, her husband, and her dog in Brooklyn Park. This attack was immediately following a previous political assassination attempt that occurred in Champlin. As this rapidly evolving, complex, and stressful situation unfolded, the Brooklyn Park Police Department specifically requested the assistance of Deputy Chief Pete Underthan to assist in giving leadership to coordinating tactical operations at and around the scene. This specific request was made due to Deputy Chief Underthan's reputation for leadership and tactical expertise. Deputy Chief Underthan immediately responded to the scene and was tasked with organizing and leading a massive area search that spanned approximately 4 square miles. This effort required the coordination of 5 different SWAT teams, most of whom had never worked together before, in addition to countless other personnel within the search area. Deputy Chief Underthan's proven ability to command a very dynamic situation while remaining calm, composed, thoughtful, and strategic was paramount to ensuring the operation was successful, thorough, and safe for all involved. Deputy Chief Underthan's key contributions to leading this massive operation cannot be understated. What also cannot be understated is his humbleness following this incident. It was not until months later that his absolutely crucial role in the early stages of what turned out to be the largest manhunt in state history became known to me. His response during and after this incident highlight the incredible caliber of him as a leader and the policing profession and all of those that are surrounded by benefit from every day. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for the police officers who do everything every day to keep us safe. All right, next item is the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are generally pretty routine and non-controversial, and we just kind of pass them in a single motion. I'm going to read through them, and if anybody has any questions or would like to remove it and put it on as an agenda item, we can talk about it then. So here we go. Approval of the minutes from the following meeting. City Council work session on July 21st, 2026. City Council meeting on July 21st, 2026. And a City Council budget work session on August 6th, 2026. Approval of disbursements over $25,000 submitted by the Finance Department. Approval of a list of license applications submitted by the City Clerk. Acceptance of Sonia Roby's at-large resignation from Park and Rec Commission. Acceptance of Michael Nex. What is it? Rec. Resignation from the Business and Community Working Group for the Blue Line Extension. Acceptance of Joan Hauser's resignation from the Bassett Creek Watershed Management Commission. Adoption of a resolution declaring several diseased trees on private properties as public nuisances and order them abated. Adoption of a resolution ordering the preparation of an assessment roll, declaring the amount to be assessed and setting the public hearing date for October 20th, 2026 for delinquent accounts. Adoption of a resolution approving a joint powers agreement with the Minnesota Department of Public Safety for Crystal Police Department access to criminal justice data. Adoption of a resolution authorizing execution of a healthy tree canopy grant agreement with Hennepin County. Approval of the Community Vision Plan Consultant Agreement with Future IQ. Are there any questions? Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll take a motion for approval. John?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
I will second that.
Teresa? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda passes. All right, next on our agenda is open forum. Open forum is an opportunity for residents to talk. You have up to 3 minutes to talk. Generally speaking, we don't allow discussion on any one singular topic for much more than 15 minutes. Just to provide ample opportunity for all, like I said, speaking is limited to 3 minutes. We can extend the total time allowed for a topic if the city council agrees. And the council will not take action on items that are discussed this evening, but we will put it on a future meeting. And I do specifically want to talk about the flock topic, because we are going to talk about that as a council after the council meeting is adjourned, when we go back into the work session agenda. Because generally at work sessions, we do not really banter back and forth. It is an opportunity for staff to give the city council members a presentation or an education, if you will, on the pros and cons of items. But one of the primary things that we're going to do tonight at our work session meeting is set a meeting, a standalone meeting, where the police department will come and address the flock issue, might even have a representative from flock themselves. And then we'll have ample opportunity for residents to speak and ask questions, and we could have a dialogue. So, does that sound like a plan?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we will start with the flock conversation. First one is Lindsay. If you would come up to the podium, please, and just state your address, and you're here to talk about flock cameras.
Thank you, Mayor Deschler.
Yes.
And council. I am here to speak regarding flock cameras. Lindsay Stamba, and I'm at 5955 Idaho Avenue in Crystal. I've been here with some of you before, so hopefully I'll be able to keep it under 3 minutes this time. I work in 911 public safety, have done so for over 15 years. My parents are police officers. I'm the sister-in-law of a police officer who basically managed to find something that pays slightly better now that they have 4 children. I am not necessarily the most anti-law enforcement person on the planet. I am, however, concerned about what we've been seeing and hearing in our community over the last year, and with systems such as this over the last, well, frankly, my entire career. I started working right around the time when St. Paul PD and Ann Rasmussen and the BCA were dealing with some similar privacy concerns. I just wanted to bring a couple of points up that may not have been previously considered. Flock recently changed the terms of its contract in, I believe, April of this year. I'm sure someone will fact check me on that. My understanding with the terms of that contract change is that many people whose data is in their systems no longer retain the right to that data. Flock now retains the right to that data and can do with it what it wishes, which, for those of us paying attention to various technological surveillance concerns, this is another point in that concern bucket. I would suggest that we review that contract. I would also suggest that we review the terms of the grant agreement. We may still be in a period where we can terminate the contract without financial repercussions. When that grant agreement ends, we may not have that flexibility. I would also like to point out that the council has not had a chance to vote on this because, as we all know, it was brought to the department's resources pool without meeting the threshold requirement for the council to take a look at it. That's something to consider going forward. And I'm not here to tell the council how to do their job, but I do think it's something to be concerned about, that we might want to review some of those policies. As a citizen in Crystal for the better part of the last 6 years, and specifically over the last year, I have seen with my own eyes and been a part of community organizing to ensure the safety of our residents and my neighbors. I would like to continue to do that in accordance with the council and everyone else in the city, whether we work, live, travel through, without being concerned that we are being surveilled in ways that may be used against us to infringe upon our rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Anna Smith.
I hate public speaking, just a warning. Anna Smith, I live in the Brownwood neighborhood. So hello, Mayor, Dusher, and Council. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm a mother in this community, and my top priority is keeping my child safe. But flock safety and other ALPR readers are not the solution. I care deeply about my child's privacy, and I refuse to sacrifice our freedom for the illusion of security. We need to look past the marketing and consider the real risk that these systems create. Flock and other ALPR systems don't simply record a crime as it happens. They create searchable records of where vehicles have been, including the date, time, location, make, model, color, and identifying characteristics like roof racks or stickers. So let's put that into real life. Imagine my family vehicle has a stick figure family decal showing 2 adults, 3 children, and a baby on board sticker. The camera doesn't know my children's names or birthdays, but that isn't the point. If that vehicle is repeatedly photographed, someone who can access those records can connect the dots. They can see where my vehicle was, when, and how often it appears at different locations. They could see that this vehicle regularly goes to the elementary school, pediatrician's office, the library, grocery store, and home. From those patterns, they could potentially infer how many children are in my family and how old they are, approximately. And because those sightings are stored as searchable records, multiple timestamps can create a detailed picture of our family's movements and routines long after we've driven past the cameras. As a stay-at-home mom, I take my child with me everywhere. So when I hear that this is just a license plate reader, I don't think about license plates. I think about a record of my family's movements, and that information can be misused. This is not theoretical. For example, in South Carolina, a police officer searched for her ex-partner's license plate through Flock 166 times. In Florida, another officer used Flock to track his estranged wife more than 700 times. And in Milwaukee, a former officer used police license plate technology to search for his ex-girlfriend and her boyfriend more than 170 times. These officers did face consequences, but punishment after the fact does not undo the surveillance that already happened or guarantees that the next person won't do the same. A recent review indicated that at least 28 cases nationwide involving alleged ALPR abuse to stalk past or present romantic partners or others that they are interested in. So when somebody says, if you're not doing anything wrong, what do you have to hide? My answer is simple. Privacy isn't something we should have to earn by proving our innocence. And if the argument is that removing these cameras will make our police officers' jobs harder, do we really have so little faith in our local police that we think that they cannot continue doing their job without tracking every single vehicle that passes through our city? I strongly urge this city council to terminate our Flock contract and remove these cameras from our community immediately. Keeping our families safe should never require surrendering our freedoms and privacy of every family in the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Labate? Did I pronounce that right?
Close enough. Yeah.
Sorry.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Labadie, and I wanted to speak today about concerns over ALPR cameras. The concerns are not an attack on our local law enforcement, but rather worry about the technology and its effects on our freedom, privacy, and how it can be and has proven to be abused nationwide by individuals in power, by those with access, as well as by government entities and hackers. Our community has a tenuous relationship with the police department, and keeping and adding to the number of ALPR cameras will damage it even further. There are several ALPR companies trying to make a buck by spying on us. It doesn't matter which company has its cameras in our neighborhood. They all have the same problems: lack of transparency, oversight, and regulation into how they collect, store, and use our data, as well as how to hold public and private actors accountable if they abuse it. Please think about how much someone could learn about your life if cameras constantly tracked where you went. They could find out what doctors you visit, church you attend, who you visit or drive around with, meetings and or protests you attend, where you work, shop, the exact time you arrived and left, and your mode of transportation. We have already seen how this mass surveillance tool can be weaponized and abused by law enforcement. ICE and CPB have repeatedly used Flock to go after immigrants without warrants. Police in Kansas used them to pursue a man who wrote a critical op-ed about the department. People in many states have wrongfully been accused of auto theft. Cameras have erroneously identified people through their facial recognition technology. Police have used the cameras to stalk ex-wives and girlfriends, harass private citizens who weren't being investigated for crimes, and make traffic stops after the cameras have flagged the wrong vehicle. One stop resulted in a lawsuit by a woman who received a $1.8 million settlement. Do the Crystal Coffers have $1.8 million to pay when they get sued for wrongful detainment or arrest by a law-abiding citizen? When ALPR systems make mistakes, the consequences can be dangerous as well as costly. Even though ICE does not have a contract to work with Flock, Twin Cities and other law enforcement allowed ICE access to national searches on behalf of immigration purposes. Independent, peer-reviewed research has not established that ALPR cameras reliably reduce crime. The strongest academic reviews say the evidence is inconclusive. They have shown an error rate over 32%. That's 1/3 of the time they get it wrong and upend the lives of innocent people. The "it works" statistics circulating publicly come from the vendor's own marketing, not outside evaluation. This unprecedented spying is terrifying. I'm asking you to consider this information and make a decision regarding these cameras that will protect our rights, prevent lawsuits, and stand for proven safety, not a company sales pitch and rights violations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joshua Smith. Now, there's a name I can pronounce. I like it.
Yeah, it's a hard one. All right, I'm Joshua Smith. I live in the off of 37th Avenue in the Brownwood neighborhood. I'd like to speak a little bit about flock safety and how I feel about it. Before I get to that, though, I'd like to give some background on myself. I'm a U.S. Army veteran who specialized in communications technology. I served almost 2 years in South Korea, with about 5 of those months spent on the DMZ, also known as the Demilitarized Zone, which is what separates South and North Korea. During my time spent on the DMZ, I would hear propaganda being shouted over loudspeakers from the North Korean side every single day. When I asked one of the South Korean soldiers what the lady on the loudspeaker was saying, he said something to the effect of, "North Korea is the greatest civilization on earth." Now, obviously, we know that that isn't true for many reasons, and one of those reasons being mass surveillance of their people. Being stationed on the DMZ gave me a unique perspective on the differences between the society that I was living in and the society that existed just a few miles away. I never personally experienced the surveillance of the North Korean people of what they lived under, but knowing that it exists and knowing how much control their government has over their people has always stuck with me. It made me appreciate the freedoms we have here in the United States. And it also made me appreciate and made me very cautious about anything that could slowly normalize the idea that our movements should constantly be monitored and recorded. Here in Minnesota, we have approximately 1,400 flock cameras, which doesn't even account for other brands of ALPR cameras. On my way to work in Plymouth, about 7 miles from here, I will have passed about 10 flock cameras, each one tracking my exact location. That means I'm being tracked minimally every mile that I drive to work. I'm also being tracked when I go to the grocery store, to my son's medical appointments, to my parents' house, and just about everywhere else. I know what some of you are thinking, though. If you're not doing anything wrong, then why do you care? An important thing to know about flock safety is that when a city signs a contract with them, flock has the ability to change its agreement whenever they want. And as it was previously stated, there was a new update in 2026 to the flock safety contracts that actually removes the clause that explicitly prohibits selling customer data, aka everybody's data. Obviously, that in itself is frightening, but if they can change their contract anytime they want, what's to stop them from changing the agreement in ways that puts the safety of the people it's tracking even more at risk than they already are? I understand the possible upsides to using ALPR systems, but when we look at all the facts, is it really worth compromising the safety of your citizens in the process? When you hear things like being tracked to my son's medical appointments, does that make you think of the United States or of freedom? Or does it make you think of a place like North Korea? If we continue down this path, one day we will be the country that people use as the example of mass surveillance. I am here today to formally demand for the immediate removal of all flock safety cameras within the city of Crystal. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your service, too. Joseph Coleman.
All right. Sorry to beat a dead horse, apparently, tonight. 505 45th Avenue North, and I do actually have sources for you all cataloged for you, because today I'm not going to be just giving my opinion, I'm going to be giving you hard facts. Now, as I said, my name is Joseph Coleman. I am 40 years old, registered voter, homeowner here in the city of Crystal. I've owned a home here for about 4 years and previously lived in cities such as St. Louis Park, New Hope, Brooklyn Center, and North Minneapolis. I'm here today to quickly discuss the issues of flock cameras that have appeared in the city and my sheer disgust with them. I do not stand here today as a pleased citizen, and I will go into more details shortly on the why. However, I'm going to make myself clear on my opinion on the subject before I go further. Flock cameras need to be banned in the city of Crystal post-haste. I do not consider this a light request, and I will justify my call with the following 10 points. Now, as a note, I know with only 3 minutes of speaking time, 10 points was actually the slim version that I tried to get this down to for you all today of what could be said, and I apologize in advance if I go over. If I'm close to time, please signal me and we can discuss whether or not an extension is possible, as I believe these points are valid enough to justify one, and I am willing to hand over this entire speech and my citations to you guys if not. Now, starting off with point 1, to say that there has been a nationwide trend of officers misusing is an understatement. I apologize to our police officers. I know that not everybody's the same, but there are at least 50 plus documented cases of misuse of flock system across the United States to date. As a specific example that was mentioned earlier, a Kansas detective used Fox camera to track his romantic partner 124 times and her ex 55 times. The officer assigned to investigate that misuse was ironically later arrested for doing the same thing himself, including adding a GPS tracker to his ex's car. While there are features to avoid misuses, only about a quarter of agencies use these abuse detection tool offered by Flock to catch this kind of misuse. The CEO himself seems to have no interest in curbing this particular issue and can be cited with saying, and I do quote word for word, "We are not going to change humans, and humans make bad decisions. All we can do is make sure that they know that if you use this tool, you will be held accountable." I am not sure about you, but that distills little confidence in the accountability that will be had. It's the equivalent of handing a kid a permanent marker, warning them that there will be consequences if they draw on the walls, and leaving the room unsupervised. To add additional layer to add an additional layer to free. Bleh. Can you tell it's been a long time since I've stood in front of anybody? I usually do this over the internet, where it's a lot safer in a crowd. To add an additional layer, Freeform, Flock's plain language search tool has its own problems. In one review over 3,200 searches across 124 agencies, the system's moderation only blocked 19 of them, waving through searches targeting political expression and protected characteristics while only flagging legitimate ones instead, leaving the door wide open for future use to target individuals that may be expressing their First Amendment rights to protest, targeting individuals based on their political alignment, or simply targeting someone due to personal relations with ease. Point 2, false arrests and stops are a known issue of the Flock system in general. There are over 27 documented cases nationwide, as you heard before. These are only the documented ones, mind you. The number of undocumented stops and time waste has potential to be much higher. This includes the case in Arkansas that was earlier mentioned, where a family was detained and held at gunpoint with a 6-week baby in the back seat over a plate that did not actually match. Roseville, California has a 71% false alarm rate on hot plates alone, flat out wasting police time and resources. This doesn't even count for the freeform searches failures covered a moment ago. An LA inspector for the LAPD found that 161 vehicles falsely flagged as stolen over a 2-month pilot period, concluding that 32.3% of the alerts were reviewed were inaccurate. The LAPD let its Flock pilot contract expire because of this. Point 3, I would venture to say that at this point in time, everybody in this room has had at least one situation where a data breach affected them. I'm not sure about any of you, but I've received more than one notice informing me that I have been part of a data breach. In fact, I received one less than a month ago. With this being said, we do really need to think of these cameras are safe in any form. They're not. The camera feeds are exposed to the open internet. Sounds scary? Well, what if I told you a January 2026 security research found that a simple Google search could locate 60+ completely exposed Flock cameras and administrative interfaces? No hacking skill required. What if I told you the login credentials are transmitted in plain text, allowing for basic and easy, cheap tools to capture that information? This is, by the way, for both the admin portal and the cameras themselves. The situation is so bad that Ron Wyden and Raha, I cannot pronounce that last name, sent a formal letter to the FTC requesting an investigation stating that Flock has unnecessarily exposed American sensitive personal data to theft by hackers and foreign spies. Flock states that its cloud platform itself has not been breached and frames the exposure as an issue to the physical address of the individual camera hardware, not compromises to their central servers. While they have not been hacked yet that we know of, their admin cameras and system have been exposed. To make things worse, Flock images and audio have been reportedly revised by offshore contractors hired through Upwork without disclosed vetting standards. Now, does this instill confidence? We already have enough issues with data breaches. Do you wish to be monitored by an unknown source as well? How am I doing on time?
You're at 6 minutes.
Am I?
Yeah.
Do you want me to stop?
Well, maybe a couple more minutes.
All right. Point 4 here, I was told by a local rep, Theresa Mays, thank you so much for taking my call, by the way, that, if I might pronounce your name right, that the police chief said the data was not shared with ICE or federal agents, which is fine, but let's talk facts. Fox default policy holds for 30 days before automatic deletion, but it's a rolling window, meaning that at any given moment, there's a continuous searchable 30-day record of everyone's movements sitting in the system. Officers can query the system without a warrant, without needing to tell anyone, for any reason they choose, to type in a search box. As we have seen, this is easily abusable. Over 7,000 agencies and organizations share access to Flock data nationwide. This isn't a closed local system. It's a sprawling shared database. Flock's default contracts have reportedly allowed data sharing with federal and out-of-state agencies for investigative purposes. I put into quotations there. Even with the local department try to restrict access, Crystal PD shows a shared network listing along Hennepin County and Minnesota and numerous other metro agencies and other departments' Flock transparency portals, meaning that Crystal's camera data doesn't stay contained to Crystal. Crystal told the paper it doesn't share its data with ICE, a statement likely narrowly true. But that doesn't address whether or not agencies within the shared network, who do have ICE force involvement, can search Crystal's data without Crystal's knowledge. In Dayton, Ohio, an audit found that Crystal's camera data security had been searched over 7,100 times for immigration enforcement, explicitly violating the city's own policy. Officials called it egregious and unable to immediately exit the Flock contract, physically covered all 72 cameras with trash bags. At least 53 cities nationwide have canceled Flock contracts specifically over unauthorized data access. That's half the points.
So you've obviously done a heck of a lot of research.
Yes.
And you've got some great points. I think that this would be information that would be helpful at the standalone meeting.
If you wish, otherwise I can hand this over as well. I got sources and everything available for you guys.
That's
to
what
look
I
them
was
up.
wondering if you had a copy, because you just threw out so much data that I was, my brain was getting kind of mushy.
Yeah, do you want just the sources, the whole thing?
Do you have a copy of it too then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got to.
I'll give it to the city clerk, and then maybe she could send it out to all of us. Are you okay with that, you guys?
Yep.
No,
Thank
you've
you for
done a
the
really
time.
good job, and I appreciate it. God
It
bless
gets-
you for looking into all of it.
It gets worse.
Oh, God.
Much
That's
worse.
comforting.
Needless to say, end of the day, ban them.
Thank you, Joseph. One more Flock comment is Autumn. Autumn Burgraff.
Yes, my name's Autumn Burgraff. I can cut some of this out if you want me to speak on a different topic. I could also speak about the Verizon tower that's proposed to be put in. I'll take out some of the examples since many people already stated many of the examples. All right, but yeah, my name's Autumn Burgraff. And yeah, as Dr. Vietrin, who is a crime surveillance and policing expert with associations at the University of California, Yale, and Ohio State University puts it, Flock inverts the nature of which police are meant to function, where traditionally crimes will happen and then they are investigated. Under Flock, he poses it's more so that we're all under investigation at all times for all crimes. Meaning, Flock cameras do not instill safety. They impose suspicion and guilt on every person they surveil, and I personally would call this a hallmark of a low-trust society, a low-trust community. So how does this technology allow us to put faith in city officials and law enforcers when this police money could have been spent on outreach events, 311 services, Narcan and addiction services, or any other number of community-centered safety efforts? But it was instead spent to surveil us. And what is the cost of that? Again, I have listed some examples. I won't bore you with all of them. Suffice to say, as soon ago? No. As close in time as 2 weeks ago, August 6th, a woman was pulled over and held at gunpoint by Milwaukee police after Flock cameras mistakenly read her license plate as connected to crimes she did not commit. She was pulled over twice that week due to Flock camera misreporting. And her 9-year-old child was with her and now is reportedly afraid to even get in the car. And with all of the other incidents that other community members have noted, these aren't necessarily isolated incidents. They're not really bugs of a system. They're more of a feature. Flock uses generative AI, which is kind of affirmation software. It's developed with algorithmic bias to produce a pleasing result, not necessarily a correct one. And Flock themselves, they report that they scan like what is that right there? Oh yeah, 20 billion every month, 20 billion scans of cars every month. And they report that they have a 96% success rate. And yeah, let's take that 96% at face value and say that that's correct. That's still 800 million errors in a month. And let's take that number in a half to say like there's repeat scans, right? 400 million traumas a month, potentially, which does not make me feel safe. I think that's unacceptable. And I've lived in Crystal since I was 4 years old, with the exception of 6 years, around 6 years. And I say this from a place of extreme privilege, that nothing in all my time as a resident has made me feel as unsafe as these cameras. So I don't accept their presence in our community, and I would hope that perhaps with all of the considerations you would not either. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam.
Are we having a public forum for the Verizon thing?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can speak about the Verizon thing later, and then there'll be a hearing.
All right, now we have another topic. I think that concludes everybody that was here to talk about. Yes.
I stand before you for a third time, apparently before it was cool, to demand the immediate termination of Crystal's contract with Flock Safety. In the work session following the July 21st meeting, multiple council members had questions about Flock. The questions were valid. The problem is those questions are being asked 390 days into a 730-day contract. I will go through and address those questions in order. The first question was essentially, was asked about license plate covers. Essentially, are people with license plate covers gaming the Flock system? The answer is no. ALPRs take a fingerprint of your car, the make, model, color, and presence or absence of any bumper stickers, window stickers, dents, roof racks, bike racks, etc. Even if your car didn't have a plate, Flock would have a profile for your car. Next up was a transparency portal. This is a basic feature that Flock offers. Again, a year plus after signing the contract, only now are we discussing what transparency might look like. I think South St. Paul's portal was mentioned. Under the prohibited uses section, they list immigration enforcement. What steps has our PD taken to hold the department that searched Crystal's data in January for that purpose accountable? When can we expect a public statement condemning that action and naming the department an officer who unlawfully accessed our data? I've requested Flock audit logs from 20 plus departments to get a better understanding of how police officers are using the technology. This itself has become an exercise in futility, as only one department was fully in compliance with state law. Of all 20 departments, Crystal provided me with the least complete public data. A complete audit log, which basically is a record of the searches that officers make, should have 12 columns of information. What I was sent by Crystal had 3 columns. I'm still waiting on an accurate, complete public record from a July 28th request. Why isn't Crystal able to comply with state law under the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act almost 14 months into the contract? The Star Tribune recently published an article revealing that ICE had accessed Crystal's data specifically to aid it in immigration enforcement. And for 29 days since that article, the city has made their position clear. It's more important to keep using Flock than to fully understand how Flock works, have a full discussion, and address the issues. You've chosen ICE and whoever wants to have a look at how we live our lives over us. I ask that we cancel our contract as soon as possible. Put up trash bags covering the cameras as other cities have done until you consider and fully understand what you've signed up for. Err on the side of caution. We don't want to be watched. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else?
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Nick. I'd rather not give my address, but I am a Crystal resident.
Okay.
And I actually came here tonight to ask if we could consider amending our parking policy on city streets, and then also ask why we've implemented a $10 fee for like summertime parking on our own city streets, and also where that money goes. Just curious. And then, but I guess I'll talk on flock too. It wasn't on my agenda, but I think all the points that have been made are very valid, but I think, in my opinion at least, the biggest concern is the fact that there's this much public pushback against something, and it's being pushed back on us in regards to disregard, I guess, for kind of public consent on it. So I think that the idea of having the meeting that you spoke on, having discussion on it is really, really good. But I think, in my opinion, if everyone really cares about, freedom and democracy and stuff, if there's this much pushback on it, in my opinion, I think we should just have a city vote, and if you come and you care enough to vote on it, then come do it, and express yourself and let the people speak,
I kind of agree. I totally agree, but I don't know that we can. Like, I wanted to vote on the old flag.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of people want the old flag, but that was killed.
I'd be curious. I mean, if it's something we could do within our own community, strictly for Crystal at least, I think it'd be a good idea, and I think it'd make the people feel better, at least having been heard.
Right.
And I just don't like the way that it's trending. Like, what comes next is my question. And I mean, if we're okay with this, are we okay with having mandated checkpoints where you're stopped and ID'd as well? And even if it's just a 30-day log of, well, we only keep it for 30 days. It's just whoever comes through here gets checked and ID'd. It's like, well, that's the equivalent to what we're doing right now. And it's just the slow evolution towards a police state. And that's my biggest concern. Not even the cameras themselves, but the trend towards disregarding people and their concerns. And yeah, to my knowledge, I'd love to see, the data, should there be any, of where the original plan to implement cameras in this country came from and what public support they claim to have had, and now I can't think, but yeah, anyways.
Did you want to talk on the parking piece real quick?
Yeah, I guess, so anyways, for the parking, I would just like to maybe amend it in the sense of it, just kind of go over what the policy currently is, and then, obviously I think that it's important to have clear streets for not only wintertime, obviously, but also for EMS type activities on tight roads and all that. I think that's very, very valid. But for example, on my street, it's very wide street. There's no through traffic and anything like that. And it's a real pain in my butt to not be able to park in the street because we have just a single driveway, and we share a driveway with our neighbors too. So it's very tight, very hard. And we have a trailer and stuff. And it's just like, oh man, what a pain in the butt. And I just want to be able to put my car on the road. So just a revision or an amendment on that would be awesome. And then, again, I just was curious as to why $10 to park in front of my house.
I think the cost of it was just to cover the cost of.
Yeah, we don't make any money off of it. It all goes back to just like printing the labels and administering the actual.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, I was on the city council for 10 years. Parking is the biggest, craw that people have. It's just, people either love the streets clear or they're really irritated they can't park on the street. And I get both sides, but, we just found that the overwhelming majority, when we put out a survey one time, they want the streets clear. It's a cleaner look. And particularly, and I'm not picking on renters, but, you got a house that's a rental, and then all of a sudden 20 of their relatives come and join and live there. Then all of a sudden the street is just packed with cars. Some of them run, some of them don't, and it becomes kind of a nightmare. So we just kind of, okay, if you're a resident and you want to get a season pass to park in the summer, come down, the city will accommodate you, and problem solved.
Sure. I used to plow for Eden Prairie, so I also appreciate the pain in the butt factor for the plow guys too. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if we could just teach people to keep the garbage cans off the street in the winter.
Yeah.
Forrest.
Well, that is all for me.
It's supposed to be on the lawn, on your curb. I have. I drive by your house and I
All
check
the
it
time.
out. Especially on garbage day.
Here's our flat camera right there.
Yeah, the litter and the trash can police. All right, anybody else for flat cameras? Okay, we have a couple people here to talk about a proposed ordinance that we're thinking about talking about mostly in September, but it is a flavor ban on tobacco, both vape and cigarettes, and maybe those pouch things or something. So I've got an Amy, if you would like to come up.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Amy Mardrosian. I represent our family local business called Crystal Trades here in the city. I'm here tonight because I want to briefly address the proposed flavor ban and flavored tobacco and nicotine product ban that is expected to come before the council next month. I understand that tonight is not the actual voting, but I believe it is important for council to hear from local businesses and community members before that decision is made. I fully support protecting youth and strictly enforce 21 and older laws. Businesses that sell products have a responsibility to check identification. But I do not believe banning these products from adults that are 21 and older is the right solution. One of my biggest concerns is the impact that it will have on Crystal businesses. Customers are not simply going to stop purchasing these products. Customers will go to neighboring cities to purchase them, which is only a few blocks away either side. Many will drive to neighboring cities and they'll leave Crystal. They also may go buy their gas, food, and other products from the neighboring city. That means that Crystal doesn't just risk losing tobacco sales, they risk losing customers, tax revenue, and spending that supports our community. There is also an issue of fairness. Adults over 21 can legally purchase alcohol and flavored cannabis, and that's being regulated forever. Before the September vote, I respectfully ask of you to speak with local businesses and see what other alternatives can be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Gentry Chandler.
How you doing, council members, mayor? I've been here before for some other issues. Back again. Just start by saying 5901 Hampshire is where I live. I've been a resident, lifelong resident of Crystal, soon to be business owner. And to my surprise, a few days ago, I received this letter saying that my business could potentially be over before it's even begun. I'm set to take ownership of this business, Dark Horse Vapors, on the 24th of this month, and if this ordinance goes through, it will effectively crush my business and my life savings and hard work that I've put into it. As mentioned before, these products that we're trying to regulate are for adults, intended for adults. On the way into my store, you pass 5 signs that say you must be 21 to even enter my store. Granted, I sell soda and other concessions. I will not sell anything to a juvenile. If a juvenile walks into my doors, I promptly ask them to leave. I don't think it's very fair to keep a liquor industry with flavors for adults and a marijuana industry with flavors for adults, but not a tobacco industry with flavors for adults. As previously stated, these customers are just going to leave and take their money elsewhere. In fact, I've already started a list of petition signers, and in a matter of 3 days have over 180 signatures. And I imagine when I come back on the 15th of next month, it'll be a lot more. Just simply asking you to consider what this will do to our businesses. It will effectively ruin us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else here to talk about during open forum? Seeing none, that concludes open forum. Thank you, everybody, for your comments and your courtesy. We're going to move into the regular agenda. Council is going to consider a resolution approving a conditional use permit for a telecommunication tower at 3200 Veracruz Avenue North. And John, are you going to be chatting about this?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I just need to make these annoying Zoom controls go away, and so give me a moment, please.
I thought it was a public hearing too, but that maybe that was just at the Planning Commission.
Planning Commission was the formal public hearing, but certainly the council typically allows public comments on regular agenda items.
Okay.
Even though it's not an advertised public
Okay.
hearing, it's still a public meeting, of course, so. All right, we'll go with this as it is. So, thank you, Madam Mayor, council members. This is, as was stated, a conditional use permit application for a telecommunications tower at 3200 Veracruz Avenue North. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay. So Verizon is proposing to build a new cell tower at 3200 Veracruz. This is a conditional use. It's allowed in the R1 district, which is how the property is owned, and it is a conditional use. The property is city-owned and has an existing sanitary sewer lift station, which will remain. And we have received independent confirmation of the need for this tower to fill a verified telecommunications coverage gap. So this is the location of the site. At the blue parcel is where the tower will be located. It is just on the outside of the curve. If you're going east on 32nd and it curves north to become Veracruz to go by the nursing home, it is on the outside of that curve between that city street and the Highway 100 noise wall. And the properties highlighted or outlined in red are the ones that received mailed notice of the Planning Commission public hearing. So this is an aerial photo of the property. The red dot is the location of the proposed tower, and you can see just north of it some of the facilities related to the sanitary sewer lift station. And this is an excerpt from the site plan for the conditional use permit, again showing where the tower is located on that parcel. The findings, these were all gone through in the Planning Commission hearing, so I'm not going to go through them all unless requested to, but the findings are in the slideshow. It does meet all of our city code requirements. So if you have questions on these 3 pages, these 3 slides, we can go back to them.
John?
How tall is the tower?
I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. It's 100 feet tall, including a 9-foot lightning rod. So the actual tower itself is 91 feet tall.
So it's 100 feet total with the,
Including the lightning rod.
okay, so the tower itself is 91 foot. Thank you.
There's been a lot of residents in the past that have complained that there's kind of a void spot for cell service in that area down south. Is this tower going to fix that, do you think?
Yes, that's what the independent.
That's why they're doing it?
That's what the independent engineering report from Owl Engineering showed.
And so people that have, say, a different cell service, like I have T-Mobile, sometimes I'm coming north on Douglas Drive and my calls just drop.
So this is a Verizon tower, but it does have the potential for co-location.
Okay.
Providers generally do co-locate on each other's towers because it's a lot cheaper to fill their own coverage gap than to build their own tower. So that is typically what happens, but because we're not actually involved in that negotiation between the private companies, we can't guarantee that it'll happen, just that they have to be, it has to be built so that co-location is a possibility.
Okay. Does anybody get, Teresa?
Isn't there a tower there already?
No, the aerial photo that you saw there was a power pole.
Oh, all right, I thought, okay.
Yeah, there's a power pole. Basically, it's feeding off this main power line running east and west. You can kind of see it
Okay,
there.
right.
And then there's a power pole to get power to our lift station.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions? Forrest?
Did they provide any elevations, like, of what it actually looks like from an elevation standpoint?
I don't have the full plan set with me, I apologize.
Okay, I didn't see it. I was just double checking, but I don't remember seeing it.
I think, I mean, well, I think they should be in your packet. We don't have it in the slide necessarily.
Yeah, I don't.
It's actually the first page of the 11 by 17.
Oh my gosh, that's
in your
okay.
packet.
Yep, it's just that one
Yeah.
page. Okay.
And you can see they have the, they show, where the other providers could co-locate.
Okay, so it's a monopole.
Yep, monopole design.
How tall is the sound wall there? Like
Is the what? The
Sound
sound
wall?
wall? Oh,
or like 30 feet?
yeah, maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll see the tower from Highway 100. Although you should be looking at the road, but it will certainly be tall enough to be visible over the noise wall.
And it will be lit with like a beacon for planes?
No, those typically are not tall enough to require that. Even the much taller one at Bass Lake Road and Botano Boulevard, which is, I think, 165 feet tall, does not have a beacon on it.
Okay, that's helpful to know. Thank you.
Well, you'd think that one would have to have it with the way as low as those small planes come in.
Yeah, I'm surprised it doesn't for how close it is.
Well, it's a great question, but if you look at an aerial photo of the Crystal Airport, you'll see that none of the runway approaches even come close
To that
going-
tower, okay.
They're all going either southeast or southwest of it, so,
That makes sense.
yeah.
The water tower, Robinson Water Tower has it, but there's an approach over to the lake.
And then there was a resident that wanted to just chat a little bit about the
Madam
cell
Mayor, sorry,
tower.
I had one more slide first.
Oh,
So
I apologize, I'm
Just wanted
sorry.
to, I didn't want to read 3 pages of this. and if-
Okay.
So, but if I've answered the council's questions, so last slide, the CUP would meet the requirement of city code, and so the planning commission unanimously recommended approval. We did again verify the coverage gap does indeed exist, and the nearest home will be 269 feet from the tower. Council adoption of the resolution approving the CUP is requested, but certainly you can open it up to public comment at this time.
So everybody that lives down south is probably going to be running to the Verizon store, so they can have coverage. Well, all right, now you can come up.
My name hasn't changed. My name is still Autumn Burgraff since the
Okay.
last time I came up here. Yeah, I just think that we, as a community, need to be really conscious about planning and sustainability. I'm not against a tower necessarily going in. I just do think these things should have more consideration rather than Verizon told us that a tower should be going in. Because maybe in 30 years, like other companies will be using this tower. Or we'll have a different like evolution generation of like data that like we need to connect people to. Part of my concern is where it is as well, at Bassett Creek, that is sacred waters, and that like I haven't heard anybody talk about like the Lakota community being involved in this being cleared at all. It being quite tall, like I wonder, and this information might be provided, like how deep the anchoring needs to go in for this, if that would be affecting like watershed at all. I don't know, I'm not an engineer. And again, like people need to be connected. People don't really have landlines anymore. I would like to see a map of like overlapping coverage perhaps for other service from T-Mobile and AT&T, because if this is a concern at all of like being connected to emergency services, I'm pretty sure it is federal regulation. You will be connected to emergency services through whichever tower is closest, regardless of like if that is your provider. And yeah, in terms of people being connected, it all has to do with like what plan you're paying for in the first place. Like again, those 3 that I listed, those are really the only 3 companies that have cell towers in this entire country. Even if like you're on a different plan that's maybe using multiple towers, I don't know, like, is there a survey of like what Crystal residents are like not getting service there? Is it like just like a few Verizon residents, like, you know what I mean? So I just think that there maybe should be more review. And with it also not being lit up, I know that this is in other areas. I don't have the data with me, so I'm sorry I can't provide it to you. Concerns for wildlife as well. Anything that's tall, like birds are of course like going to run into it. But with there being a park right there, I have concerns about maybe there's protected wildlife we should be concerned about as well. So yeah, that's kind of like my concerns about that. And in terms of people being connected, like I do want to stress, like I'm an AmeriCorps member working, helping people with digital literacy right now. It is definitely like a necessity to be connected, but there are a lot of other factors than just like, oh, people are consuming a lot of data. We need to get people their data. So what? Like they can get more TikTok videos faster? Like, or is it because they really vitally need to be connected to something like emergency services? So those are my comments on that. Those are my concerns. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
Yeah, you asked about how deep it goes into the ground. Looks like it's 5 feet is what the base is for that tower, so it's pretty standard for something at that size, so. Thank you.
Do they generally have those towers, you know, like attract like birds or something? Do birds hit them? I know probably because they're colored, they probably wouldn't, right?
I mean, this will be painted green.
Green,
You
okay.
know, like a darker, like a.
I know they go into windows because they can't see the pane of glass, but
I have no idea what the impact on birds are. It's a very standard issue type of tower. There's nothing really unique or special about it.
I had a nest of ospreys on my cell phone tower for many years, so that was pretty cool.
You had what?
Ospreys.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so it was pretty. So they do attract certain type of birds, so, yeah.
They nest.
They nest on the very top, yeah.
Is there any other questions or about the tower?
I guess I did have one quick question. Are we receiving any revenue from them building on our property?
They have a lease.
They'll have
Yeah.
a lease, okay.
It's around 30,000 a year. I don't remember the exact amount.
Because it's our
Recall-
property.
Yeah, the city owns the land.
Right.
And so it's on our property, and in 2020, in addition to previously approving the CUP for the exact same tower, the council did enter into a lease. Those two actions occurred at the same council meeting. Well, while they didn't build the tower the first time, so the CUP expired,
Right.
the lease has continued to run. So the city does receive the land lease revenue, and then if they co-locate, if they allow others, like sublease part of their tower to other providers, we get a share of that lease revenue as well. So there is a financial benefit to the city in terms of the lease revenue.
Is that like an indefinite lease that's like reoccurring or?
There's automatic renewals, I think, in 5-year intervals up to a certain cutoff point when a new lease would have to be negotiated.
All right, cool, thank
I
you.
think it might be 20 years before that, and we're a quarter of the way through that already because we're 5 years in, at least 5 years into the lease now.
So they've been paying on that lease
Yes.
without having anything there?
Yep. It's
Well, good for
inexplicable
us.
to us too.
Well, it keeps other providers from building towers there too.
All right. Any further conversation on that? Anybody want to make a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you, John.
I make a motion approving a resolution for a conditional use permit for Verizon Wireless.
David?
I will second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next item is resolution approving a professional services agreement with Bolton and Menk for 90% design of TIF-funded improvements serving the Yellow Tree development at 7056 Avenue, which is the Wells Fargo site.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, council members. So we've had a lot of work sessions to discuss various design details. I promise you, I do not have a slideshow. and I'm not going to ask any questions because I think we have the direction we need from all of you. But at this point, we do need your approval to enter into the contract for detailed design and to get us ready for the next stage with the goal of going to bid in early 2027. The estimated cost of the engineering work is $51,000. We're here tonight because that contract is large enough to require city council approval, and the estimated construction cost of the project would be just under $900,000, which includes a 10% construction contingency for unforeseen work that ends up being needed, so, which is pretty standard. So again, this would all be funded from tax increment generated by the new department on the former apartment building on the Wells Fargo site. So it would not be paid for out of general tax revenue. And we would hope to get the improvements constructed if the bidding goes well in early 2027 to complete them by fall of 2027, roughly concurrent with when that apartment building opens.
Fall of 2027?
Correct.
And it will kind of circle the block there.
Yes, it would circle, it would include new sidewalk, decorative sidewalk, pedestrian scale lighting on 57th, the south side of 57th, and then both sides of Jersey between Bass Lake Road and 57th. We'd also fix the very dated and uncomfortable to use handicap or accessible ped ramps at the 57th and Broadway traffic signal, upgrade to the modern push buttons that you've seen at some other intersections that have already been upgraded, and then fix a sidewalk gap on the west side of Broadway just north of there. So this project would include all of those things.
Because there's a little rocky area by the Four Seasons. You know what I'm talking about. Bushes, rocks, right at Bass Lake, and I think it's Jersey. Between TCF Bank, Huntington Bank, and the dry cleaner.
Okay. Four Seasons threw me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that is terrible to look at.
This is the area between the existing sidewalk and the parking lot curb
Yeah.
on the west side? Yeah, the O'Reilly Auto Parts?
Yes.
Okay, yes. We're
So
familiar
that
with
would be included in the project.
Well, no, because that's private property, so while we would.
But the sidewalk
The
portion.
sidewalk, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, the decorative sidewalk, and as we discussed before.
Maybe that will spur the other people to do something.
Well, I will tell you, I know we've taken some code enforcement action against the O'Reilly property because of the poor maintenance of the rock beds and the weeds, and just looks really bad, so we have done that. It's part of our commercial code enforcement.
Okay, good, thank you.
Focus. But that's separate from, but parallel to the improvements that we're trying to do in that area.
All right, does anybody have any questions? So we've discussed this about 900 times.
No, I'll move I'll make a motion.
Okay, sure.
I move a resolution approving a professional service agreement with Bolton and Mank for 90% design of TIF-funded improvements.
I'll second that.
Teresa, okay. Because I always look at you first. Sorry. That's right.
I will second that.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that concludes our meeting tonight, except for we have some announcements. So I'll read them off, and then if anybody else has another announcement, let me know. Oops. Ribbon cutting ceremony for new improvements at Forest School Park will be held Tuesday, August 25th at 4:30 in the park at 7001 48th Avenue North. Crystal Community Center will be closed to the public August 31st to September 4th for floor refurbishing and other projects inside the building. Online program registration will be available, and staff can be contacted by phone or email. There's nobody here from Park and Rec tonight, but I was at the community center last Saturday. They were having a big senior citizen 500 tournament. I shouldn't laugh, but I mean, it was packed, right? And there was a sign up saying they're closed for this weekend. They were not very happy because they said there's a lot of senior citizens that plan on coming. Oh, wait a minute. They must have changed the date then, I wonder. Because they were thinking it was this weekend, and they have a lot of people coming to play cards, and they don't have any way to get a hold of them. So we just got to kind of remember to plan that stuff further in advance so that they can let all the seniors know. I got an earful, that's why I'm kind of chuckling. You can't come and play cards. The next city council meeting is Tuesday, September 1st at 7 p.m. in the council chambers at City Hall. It's always available, it's on Zoom. City is accepting applications for several volunteer positions on our boards and commissions. For more information, you can go to the Crystal, Minnesota Government, Gov, and then /volunteer of the website. City council meetings and work sessions are always open to the public. Current and previous meetings are available to view and listen to at www.crystalmn.gov. I need a motion for an adjournment unless there's more announcements.
Wait,
Okay.
Maybe
You
the
can
same
go first.
point. Well, I just had a question. Do we have a date for our community meeting on the flock
That's what we're
cameras?
going to talk about next.
Do we have a meeting after that, though, to talk about it, or no?
We're going to talk, I think we're going to talk about it right when we're
Okay,
talking about
then I was a
flock.
little confused. Okay, never
And
mind.
it's not related to that. I just want to say thank you to everyone coming out and speaking. I know it's not easy to take the time and come to a room without any windows that are open and speak in front of us. But if you have more, if this makes you invigorated, we have a number of volunteer positions that are on our commissions that help inform the council on what we do here. And I would really encourage you looking and signing up if you have the time, because it is really empowering. I know a lot of us got started in a commission ourselves and then ended up on the council. So yeah, just thought I'd give a little extra plug for that.
Good idea. Okay, John, you want to make the motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. Taji, would you like to second?
I would. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned. We will resume in about 2 minutes, 30 seconds in the community room.